No doubt.
Dready, my boy.
I love it.
Pooh Shiesty just called in after getting picked up, and now he's out here pointing fingers at Gucci Mane, Big 30, and the whole situation like it's nothing. But before getting into what he said, let's start on January 10th, 2026, a Saturday afternoon in Dallas, Texas. Gucci Mane, one of the true architects of trap music, a guy who came up from the dirt and built a major name for himself, touched down in the city thinking he was walking into regular business. That's what he was told anyway. A meeting, a deal, a talk about a recording contract, clean, official, straight business. But according to federal documents, that is not how it played out. The moment Gucci stepped inside that studio, there were already 9 men waiting on him. What allegedly happened in that room over the next hour has been described as one of the most heavily documented cases this scene has seen, with investigators pointing to surveillance footage, social media posts, and a mountain of other evidence. According to those filings, Gucci Mane was allegedly held at gunpoint, and his wedding ring was taken right off his finger. One of the people with him was reportedly attacked so badly he nearly blacked out. And the name sitting in the middle of all this was somebody way too close to home, his own signed artist, Pooh Shiesty, who had only recently gotten out of federal prison, reportedly still on an ankle monitor. Investigators also say Big 30 was there by the door, making sure nobody slipped out. Now here's where the whole story got even messier. Federal paperwork suggests Gucci Mane identified the people involved and told investigators exactly who was inside that studio. That set off a crazy reaction online, especially after 50 Cent jumped in and started mocking Gucci, going after his image and trying to turn the internet against him. The internet instantly lost it over this story. So in this breakdown, we're going through the setup, the alleged robbery, the timeline, the evidence the feds say they have, what Gucci reportedly did next, and what 50 Cent said that made everything explode even more. This whole situation is wild, and a lot of people still do not know the full picture. Trell Williams Jr., born in Memphis, Tennessee, better known as Pooh Shiesty, was one of the hottest names out when 2021 hit. If you were paying attention back then, you already know the energy he had was different. His debut mixtape Shiesty Season came through loud, landing at number 12 on the Billboard 200 right in the middle of the pandemic, which is not easy at all. He came up fast and had the streets locked in almost overnight. Fans were rocking with him heavy, the industry was watching, and most importantly, Gucci Mane was fully backing him. Pooh Shiesty signed to Gucci's 1017 label in 2020, and at first everything looked solid. Gucci was putting him on tracks, giving him big looks, and making sure his name stayed buzzing. The mixtape even had Gucci on it, plus Big 30, his close friend from Memphis. Those two moved like a unit. Everywhere one showed up, the other was right there with him. But then things took a sharp turn. In 2022, not even a full year after his breakout, Pooh Shiesty got hit with a federal case out of Miami. The charge was tied to a weapons conspiracy, with prosecutors claiming he was connected to firearms tied to serious criminal activity. He ended up taking a plea deal and was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. 5 years, right when his career was at its highest point, everything just stopped. Most people would think that was the end of his run, but that's not how this story plays out. Things got even more interesting in October 2025 when he was released early after serving about 3 years. But getting out early does not mean full freedom. There are strict conditions attached, including home detention, wearing an ankle monitor, and limits on where you can go and what you can do. So now he's back home, under supervision, trying to rebuild his situation. But behind the scenes, there was tension building that a lot of people did not see coming. His deal with 1017 was still active, and reports started circulating that he was not happy with the terms. He allegedly felt boxed in and wanted out, looking for more control over his music and his future. He had just gotten his personal freedom back, so now he wanted business freedom too. Most artists in that situation would call a lawyer, sit down, negotiate, maybe even take things to court if it got messy. That's the usual route. But Pooh Shiesty was not moving like most artists, and that's where things start getting serious. Instead of handling it the traditional way, he allegedly set up a meeting. Not just any meeting either. He reached out and had Gucci Mane come out to Dallas on January 10th, 2026. A Saturday afternoon, calm on the surface, but something deeper was already in motion. He told Gucci, along with his security head and another industry associate, to pull up to a studio on Dallas Parkway so they could talk things out and handle the contract situation face to face. Gucci Mane showed up thinking it was straight business, just a conversation to work things out. But according to federal prosecutors, that meeting quickly turned into something else entirely. They say Pooh Shiesty asked Gucci to step into a separate recording room to talk privately. Inside that room, it was not just the two of them. His father, Trell Williams Sr., was there, along with Big 30, someone who had been around from the very beginning. So now you've got Gucci in a room with multiple people on the other side, while outside in the main studio area, investigators say there were 6 more individuals connected to the group. All of them reportedly traveled together from Memphis to Dallas, which prosecutors claim shows this was planned ahead of time, not something random that just happened in the moment. Then came the paperwork. According to reports, contract termination documents were placed in front of Gucci Mane, and he was told to sign and release Pooh Shiesty from the label. Gucci refused at first, and that is when the situation allegedly escalated fast. Prosecutors claim a firearm was pulled out and used to pressure him into signing the papers. And it did not stop with the contract. Investigators say after the paperwork was signed under pressure, personal belongings were taken, including jewelry and cash. At the same time, outside the room, the other individuals allegedly confronted the remaining people in the studio, turning the entire situation into something much bigger than just a contract dispute. One of the victims was reportedly shoved onto a studio couch and had his wallet and jewelry taken right off him. But the other situation got even more intense. That man was grabbed from behind and choked so badly he almost passed out, nearly losing consciousness before they took everything he had, including a Rolex, a Louis Vuitton bag, AirPods, and more. And Big 30? According to prosecutors, he stood right at the studio door and blocked it with his body, making sure nobody could get out. That exit was cut off completely. The people inside were stuck, forced to stay there while everything was going down. At one point, investigators say the victims believed their lives were in real danger, thinking they might not walk out of that studio at all. That part alone is hard to process. These are grown men who came to Dallas expecting a normal business meeting, and it turned into a situation they allegedly thought they might not survive. Eventually, after everything was taken, the group told them to leave, escorted them out, and then the whole crew cleared out fast. But what happened next is where everything really started falling apart for them. Because this was not just a case built on 1 or 2 details. Prosecutors came in with a mountain of evidence, and a lot of it reportedly came from the group's own actions. Let's break that down. First, the ankle monitor. Pooh Shiesty was still on home detention at the time, meaning his movements were being tracked the entire time. That device logged every location he went to, and according to investigators, it placed him right at the studio during the exact time everything happened. He was supposed to be at home, but the data showed something completely different. That alone became a major problem in the case, and it does not stop there. Dallas has license plate readers all over the highways, and those cameras reportedly picked up multiple vehicles tied to the group traveling from Memphis to Dallas in the days leading up to the incident. Prosecutors say that kind of movement points to planning, not something random that just happened in the moment. They tracked the entire trip step by step. Investigators were able to piece together the full timeline of how this group moved from Memphis to Dallas. It was not guesswork either. They had details lining everything up from start to finish. Then came the rental cars. According to reports, Trell Williams Sr., Pooh Shiesty's father, had his name on the paperwork for multiple vehicles used during the trip. A 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat was tied to him along with 2 other rentals. That means there was a clear paper trail showing who helped organize the transportation. And it did not stop there. After everything went down on January 10th, the group reportedly checked into a hotel in Dallas. Surveillance cameras captured them inside, and cell phone data placed them at that exact location. They did not even leave the city right away, which gave investigators even more to work with. Now, here's one of the details that really stands out. Hours before the incident, prosecutors say Trell Williams Sr. went to a Staples store. Why does that matter? Because investigators believe the contract paperwork used in the studio may have been printed right there. That suggests preparation, not something thrown together at the last minute. Then you have what was left behind at the scene, red plastic cups. It might sound small, but forensic teams reportedly lifted fingerprints from those cups and matched them to multiple individuals connected to the case. Something as simple as a drink container turned into key evidence, and social media made things even worse. After the incident, some individuals allegedly went online and posted photos and videos showing jewelry and items that prosecutors believe were taken during the situation. Imagine that, putting everything out there for the world to see while investigators are already building a case. It gets even deeper. One of the stolen items reportedly had an Apple AirTag inside. That device gave off location data, and the last known signal pointed to a parking area near an apartment connected to Pooh Shiesty's father, where he was also believed to be staying. That kind of digital trail is hard to explain away. When you stack it all together, it becomes a massive pile of evidence. Investigators pointed to tracking data, vehicle records, hotel footage, store visits, fingerprints, online activity, and even location devices. Each piece on its own is serious, but combined, it paints a picture that prosecutors argue shows detailed planning from the very beginning. At this point, this does not even sound like a normal case. It sounds like a full breakdown caught on camera. Investigators did not have to chase shadows here because so much of the situation was reportedly documented step by step. That is what makes this whole thing hit different. Now let's talk about everyone who got pulled into this, because it was not just Pooh Shiesty and Big 30. According to prosecutors, this was a full group effort. Trell Williams Jr., known as Pooh Shiesty, is being described as the central figure, with claims that he helped plan and carry everything out. He is facing serious federal charges, including kidnapping and conspiracy. Then there is Trell Williams Sr., his own father. Investigators say he played a role in setting things up, from renting the vehicles to allegedly handling the paperwork connected to that meeting. That means both father and son are now tied into the same federal case, which makes the situation even heavier. Rodney Wright Jr., known as Big 30, is also named in the case. Prosecutors claim he was positioned at the studio entrance during the incident, and he is facing similar charges tied to what happened that day. And the list keeps going. This was not a small circle. Authorities also named several others, including Caius Waters, Terrence Rogers, Demarion Gibson, DeMarcus Glover, Cordy Johnson, and Darian McDaniel. Arrests were made across Dallas and Memphis, showing just how wide this situation spread. At the time of the announcement, one individual was still being sought, bringing the total to 9 people connected to the case. Every single one of them is facing federal kidnapping charges, and if convicted, those charges carry extremely serious consequences, including the possibility of life in federal prison. That is a life-altering outcome tied to what reportedly started as a dispute over a music contract. And this is where the situation really makes people stop and think. Pooh Shiesty had just been released in October 2025 after serving time on a previous case. He had another chance, a clean moment to rebuild, get back into music, and reconnect with fans who were still paying attention. There was momentum waiting for him, a real opportunity to step back into the spotlight. People had not forgotten his name, and the demand was still there. On top of that, by 2024, Gucci Mane had reportedly let a number of artists leave his label, but chose to keep a select few, including Pooh Shiesty. That decision alone suggested there was still belief in his potential and still resources behind him. There was structure, support, and a path forward already in place, which is why this entire situation stands out even more, because it raises questions about how things escalated to this point. An artist coming home after 3 years in federal prison with a label deal still waiting on him is rare. That is not normal at all. Most artists step out and have to rebuild everything from the ground up. No support, no structure, nothing lined up. But in this case, there was already a foundation in place. He still had Big 30 around him, he still had attention from the streets, and he still had a clear path back into the music scene. That kind of setup gives someone a real shot at a strong comeback. And according to reports, instead of taking that route, things went in a completely different direction. Now think about who we are talking about on the other side. Gucci Mane is widely recognized as one of the key figures in trap music, someone who helped shape an entire sound and put multiple artists on the map. Over the years, he built a name not just as an artist, but as someone running a serious business and building a long-term legacy. And yet, according to federal prosecutors, one of his own artists, someone he continued to support even during difficult times, is now at the center of this situation. Investigators claim the plan was to pressure him into a contract release during that studio meeting, and that everything escalated from there while strict supervision conditions were already in place. And that is where a lot of people start questioning the decision-making behind it all. Being on home detention, wearing an ankle monitor, and still allegedly getting involved in something this serious raises major concerns. Situations like that do not just disappear, especially when federal authorities are involved. Once things crossed that line inside the studio, the consequences were almost guaranteed to follow. There is no version of a situation like that where it just ends quietly. The moment it escalated, it reportedly set off a chain reaction that led straight into a federal investigation. And here is the part that really pushed this story into a different level of attention. Federal documents describe one of the victims, identified as RD, giving details about the people involved. According to those filings, the victim described the person believed to be leading the situation, including clothing and appearance during the incident. Investigators also state that this same individual identified Pooh Shiesty through his Instagram account, directly pointing authorities toward that profile. And RD is not just a random name in paperwork, it refers to Radrick Davis, which is Gucci Mane's legal name. That means, according to those documents, Gucci Mane himself spoke with investigators and identified who he believed was involved in the situation. Now, before the comments go all the way off, let's make one thing clear. According to reports, Gucci Mane was the victim in this situation. He went to Dallas thinking he had a real business meeting lined up, something professional, something legit. Instead, investigators say it turned into a situation where he was held at gunpoint, had personal belongings taken, and was stuck inside a studio with armed individuals. He was not alone either. 2 other people with him were also caught in that situation, and at one point prosecutors say they believe their lives were in serious danger. That is not a small thing to just brush off. If something like that happens and authorities come asking questions, speaking on what happened as a victim is not the same as what people online try to label it as. But the internet does not slow down to think like that. Once the documents started circulating, 50 Cent stepped in, and you already know how he moves. He is known for making sharp, calculated comments, and this time was no different. He went online and started referencing Gucci Mane's past, bringing up an old 2005 situation involving Young Jeezy's associate, Pookie Lock, where Gucci claimed self-defense and was cleared. From there, he questioned how someone with that kind of history would end up identifying people to federal investigators in a situation like this. The post itself did not stay up long, but that did not matter. Screenshots spread fast, and the conversation took off immediately across social media. People started debating from every angle. Some were asking if Gucci Mane handled it the right way by speaking to investigators. Others felt like 50 Cent crossed the line by making jokes about a situation where someone was allegedly put in danger. The opinions were all over the place and nobody was agreeing. And here is where it really gets layered. Gucci Mane has already been through the system before. He knows how things work on both sides. After that, he came back, focused on his career, built up his business, supported other artists, and became a major figure in the culture. Which is why this situation is hitting people so differently. According to reports, this all involves someone who was still connected to his label, someone he continued to keep around even while that person was dealing with their own legal issues. That adds another level to the conversation, and it is exactly why so many people are reacting the way they are. So let's really talk about it. If someone shows up deep, allegedly pulls a weapon, takes personal belongings, and puts people in danger, where does that so-called street code even stand after that? At what point does that line get crossed completely? And if someone becomes a victim in that kind of situation, do they not have the right to tell authorities exactly what happened? That is the conversation 50 Cent sparked, and it spread fast. People across the industry and online started picking sides, debating back and forth, and nobody could ignore it. Meanwhile, Gucci Mane has stayed completely quiet. No public response, no comments about the charges, nothing about the online jokes, just silence. And the reality is, he may not even need to say anything. According to investigators, there is already a significant amount of evidence tied to this case. We are talking about tracking data, location records, forensic findings, and more. Reports say the ankle monitor data, AirTag signals, and fingerprints all play a role in building the case. That is why some people are saying that identifying individuals may not have even been the key factor here. With everything else already collected, prosecutors appear to have multiple angles they are working from. This case is not small either. It is being handled in federal court in the Northern District of Texas, with the FBI's Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force leading the investigation, along with support from Memphis authorities and other agencies. That level of involvement shows how serious the situation is being treated. At a press conference, officials made it clear that situations involving violence tied to business dealings are not going to be taken lightly. They emphasized that anyone accused of using intimidation or force in that way will face serious legal consequences if proven in court. On the defense side, Pooh Shiesty's attorney, Bradford Cohen, released a short statement saying they are reviewing the charges and will respond further when more information becomes available. And beyond that, there has not been much said publicly from the other individuals involved. Big 30's side has remained quiet, Gucci Mane has not spoken, and everything is now moving through the legal system. After everything that reportedly happened inside that studio, it seems like he is letting the process play out instead of jumping into the noise online. Now, when you step back and look at the full picture, it really comes together in a wild way. You have an artist from Memphis who rose fast in 2021, signed to a major label, dropped a successful project, then hit legal trouble and served time. After that, he comes home with attention still on him, still connected to a label, still having an opportunity to rebuild. And then, within months, prosecutors allege that a situation unfolded in Dallas involving a studio meeting, multiple people, prepared paperwork, and serious accusations tied to that encounter. That full timeline is exactly why this story has people locked in right now, because every piece connects and every detail adds another layer to what is already a very intense situation. Then it escalates even further, according to prosecutors. After the situation with the paperwork, they say personal items were taken, including a wedding ring, jewelry, and cash. At the same time, one of the people in the other room was reportedly attacked to the point of nearly losing consciousness. That alone takes this situation to another level. And what makes it even more shocking is what allegedly happened after. Some of the same items investigators believe were taken started showing up on social media. Posts, videos, photos, all circulating online. That kind of attention only added more pressure, especially with an active investigation already building in the background. Because when you look at how this case came together, it is a lot. Investigators point to multiple layers of evidence, and much of it reportedly connects back to actions taken by the people involved themselves. We are talking about tracking data, vehicle records, forensic results, digital footprints, and more, all stacking up at once. The ankle monitor data, for example, was already in place and logging movement. The AirTag tied to a stolen item was already transmitting location signals, and the social media activity, that was a choice that allegedly put even more attention on the situation. From there, you also have physical evidence like fingerprints, along with documentation tied to vehicle rentals. Each piece on its own might raise questions, but together, investigators argue it forms a much bigger picture. And now, the legal consequences being discussed are serious. Everyone connected to the case is reportedly facing major federal charges, with potential outcomes that could change their lives completely if proven in court. There are also ripple effects beyond just one person. Family connections, business ties, and music careers are all getting pulled into the same situation. Individuals who had momentum, opportunities, and growing platforms are now dealing with federal cases instead. For example, Big 30, who had been building a name in music, is now reportedly tied into the case as well. Prosecutors claim he played a role during the incident, which has placed him in the middle of the legal situation alongside others. When you step back and look at everything together, this goes beyond just music headlines or online drama. This is being treated as a major federal case, built on a wide range of evidence sources, from digital data to physical findings. And what stands out the most to many people is how avoidable it all appears in hindsight. What started as a disagreement over a contract could have gone through legal channels, negotiations, or industry mediation. Instead, according to investigators, it turned into something far more serious, involving multiple people, detailed planning, and actions that are now being examined in federal court. That contrast is exactly why this story continues to get so much attention. Crazy, right? If you picked up something new from this, or if this whole situation caught you off guard even a little, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the kind of breakdown you are going to keep getting here. Real details, real timelines, and stories a lot of people are not even covering like this. We are locked in on this case as it develops, and every update that drops, every court date, every move from any co-defendant, and every new piece of evidence, we are going to be right here talking about it. Nothing is getting missed, nothing is getting skipped. And if you want more content like this, there is a lot more coming. We have a full breakdown on Big 30's career and what this situation could mean for his future. We are also digging into 1017 as a label and what could happen next from a business side of things. On top of that, we are going deep into Gucci Mane's full story, from his early days in Atlanta all the way to building one of the most influential labels in trap music. That full journey is something you do not want to miss. So tap in, stay connected, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this with somebody who needs to hear it, because this story is still unfolding and it is far from over.